So first of all, this is kind of a part 2, and you don't need to watch the first video, but I'll link it in the description anyway if you are interested. But I am just going to briefly explain again my background so it doesn't seem like I'm making this up and why I'm actually talking about this from experience. So basically, I knew these two people who were very magnetic to most people around them, and people would just be intrigued by them. So naturally, I wanted to be friends with them. And I'm a pretty planned out, charismatic person, so I ended up becoming best friends with both of them. And I got to know both of them really, really well. And it wasn't until I was friends with the second one where I realized they actually had a lot in common. Then I thought I could actually make a bullet point list of the things that they had in common. And because I was just making videos for fun, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna make a video on this because I'm kind of passionate about it. And I think it's one of the most applicable things that I think could actually help people. So now if you're interested, I'll link it in the description, or I'll try to put it in the corner. So in my last video about magnetism, I mentioned a very important thing. You don't need to have perfect looks, mental health, or mindset to be magnetic. And I kind of briefly mentioned this, and I should have focused on it more, but I guess that's what I'm gonna do in this video, right? You don't need to be perfect at all. And when people envision themselves as magnetic, they often put this version of themselves up on a pedestal, and they say, even subconsciously, this will be me when my mental health is fixed, once my acne is cleared, or once my grades go up. Or maybe you'll just subconsciously think I'll never be like that, because you are putting them on such a high, because you are putting this version of yourself on such a high pedestal. So first off, you don't need to be this vague, perfect person. The problem isn't you. The problem isn't that you're not trying hard enough. The problem isn't that you're not good enough. It's that your standard to become this magnetic person you've envisioned in your head is too high and too vague. You don't really have it concrete or laid out, which is very normal to do. It's just oh, I want to strive to be this person, but you don't know exactly who that person is. And because this vision of yourself is so vague, you actually don't have a concrete way of getting there. And that is coming from somebody as well who has very high standards for themselves. I work myself to the bone just because that's the standard I have for myself. So listen to me when I say your standard of this version of yourself that you put on a pedestal is too high and especially too vague. If you want some sort of magnetism, in my experience, you need to bring this vision of the magnetic person you want to be down to your level, so that it's actually achievable for you, so that you can actually take steps towards becoming that person. By putting this image of yourself up on a pedestal, you're basically telling yourself I'm not good enough and I'm never gonna get there. I'm not saying that you shouldn't strive for greater things either. I'm saying that you need to stop subconsciously believing that you're not good enough right now in this moment to change your energy and attract people. If you know within yourself that things are getting better, even though it's rocky, even though there are ups and downs as life is, if you're generally in that direction, you're getting better, you're working out, taking care of yourself physically, choosing clothes that match your style and fit you well, you're not neglecting your mental health, then you're gonna be more focused on your inner world over time, and therefore magnetic. So you need to fully believe that you're good enough where you are right now, or else you're just going to hold yourself back from your potential. On number 2, stop trying to change yourself to the point that it goes against your nature. I'm especially talking about extroverts trying to be introverted because they want to be mysterious. That's what the media constantly tells them, honestly. Oh, the magnetic people are always introverted in shows and movies and books and things like that. But extroverted people can be very, very magnetic. Let me tell you right now, if you're an extrovert, don't try to change that at all. Be the best extrovert you can be instead. Be persuasive with your words, be powerful, be a leader in group settings, be charismatic and charming. And because it will sort of come naturally to you, especially over time as you accept yourself, you're going to attract people that value those traits, which I will get into later. In the case of extroverts, you will attract people more by your charisma, your actions, and personality especially, as opposed to introverts who attract people with not to be cheesy, but their mystique, their intrigue, and calmer attitude about life, kind of their stoic attitude about life. And the opposite is also true. Like, I know a lot of introverts who wish they were more extroverted, which just shows that people really want what they don't naturally have. And there's so much power in being introverted, though. Like, when you're introverted, people are going to approach you more than you approach other people, right? And it takes a lot of confidence to go up to people. So that power, the power that introverts have, is that they attract people that are already interested in them. So they have the opportunity to kind of weed people out almost. And most importantly, you're very naturally connected to your inner world, which is basically the whole premise of how to be magnetic. And you make less connections with people throughout your life compared to extroverts. But the connections that you do make, they're going to be very powerful and worthwhile very quickly as well, because you have this opportunity to sort of weed people out. And thirdly, this is very important, your target audience isn't everybody. Like, no matter what, people just aren't going to like you for no reason. And I think it's essential for, I believe, everybody to just accept this. If you're extroverted, people are going to say you're loud. If you're introverted, people are going to say you're boring. If you're ambiverted, people are going to say you're inconsistent. And if you try to please everybody, like, people are going to say you're a pushover. So it's like, there's no winning. It's impossible. And the point isn't to try to change their opinion of you, it's to change your opinion of them. Like, focusing on people who don't like you, frankly, is a waste of your time and your energy. Because while everyone's worrying about trying to get the people that don't naturally like you, that aren't your target audience, you're missing out on affecting the people that will naturally like you and be drawn towards you. Like, for example, I knew this girl, and she was very extroverted, and she had the ability to, like, light up a room. She was very loud, and she was very charismatic, and she kind of just said what she wanted to say. And I knew some people that actually loved this, especially introverts. Like, there was this one guy I knew, he, like, had a major crush on her, especially because of her extrovertedness and, like, her ability to be powerful in a room and to not really care about what she said. But then I knew, like, other people who were like, you know what, I actually hate her. I think she's loud. And it's like, okay, but she had many people that liked her, and she was magnetic to those people. So you need to, you should stop worrying about the wrong people, because not everybody's going to think of you as magnetic, and that's just natural. You're not going to be magnetic towards everybody. You know what I mean? Some people just aren't going to like you, and that's okay. You don't need to change that. And I know it's natural for people to try to change the opinions of people who don't like them. So if somebody doesn't like you, like, you want them to like you. That's basically what I'm saying. So here's, like, a mini psychology lesson. If somebody doesn't like you, it's going to fuel the subconscious idea within yourself that you aren't good enough. When somebody doesn't like you and you don't have confidence, you're going to think, well, maybe they're right. Maybe I am too loud, like they said, too boring, whatever. At least subconsciously. And you will start to put this person who doesn't like you on a pedestal. And in your mind, they're now going to be influencing your self-worth. Every time you think of this person, you will essentially be reminded that you're not good enough. Even subconsciously, even slightly. And because we want to be good enough, like, we'll try to change this person's opinion. And once you're at this point, there's, like, 2 psychological responses that people have. Like, number 1, they're gonna try to get closer to the person to try to please them. So you'll start subconsciously treating them nicer, seeking their validation, like wanting to look good in front of them, like not wanting them to see your flaws, etc. Or number 2, you're gonna start hating them, but still thinking about them. So you're gonna react by, like, not talking to them. You're gonna think, like, oh, well, they're wrong, like, I know my worth, they're nothing to me, but you still, like, think about them. And that's just your brain's way of saying, like, you're still hooked on them and you're still thinking about them because they kind of influence your self-worth. And, like, no matter how much you try to deny it, they are something to you because you keep thinking about them. And in both cases, like, they bruised your self-image. And in both cases, you're going to start subconsciously, like, seeking their validation. To illustrate my point, like, I've got two very common examples, but this scenario can be applied to so many other things. So imagine a girl only slightly likes a guy, and she shoots her shot, but then the guy rejects her, but they stay friends. And the girl thinks to herself, like, it's okay, it's whatever, like, I only slightly liked him anyway. But then she starts ruminating on him, and she gets intrigued. She starts, like, thinking about it more, like, why did he reject me? What if he has other girls? What if I'm ugly? What if my personality is annoying? And then these feelings of worry over time are going to develop into feelings of romantic attraction. And let me tell you, like, I've seen this so many times. So simply because the guy rejected her, she's going to find him more attractive because she's subconsciously starting to seek validation from him. So in the second case, the guy rejects her, and it's the same thing, but she has a different response. She thinks like, oh, I know my worth, I don't need him. But then the guy starts giving her more attention, just being nice to her, because he feels bad for rejecting her. Then once she gets a taste of his validation again after she had been previously deprived of it, that's where she gets hooked, because she wants to keep receiving those good feelings, especially from a person who had previously taken those good feelings away. And again, she starts falling for him even more. In both cases, to finally go back to my previous point, like, the girl wanted to subconsciously change the opinion of the guy who previously rejected her. And also, in these imaginary scenarios, if the guy starts to actually like the girl and treat her well, which is something I've seen multiple times, the girl will sadly get bored of him because she got what she wanted. She got his validation. And remember, she didn't even like him that much originally. Now, just to clarify, the genders can be switched, and I don't see these imaginary people as inherently bad. Like, they're just reacting to their situation like any typical person would. Now, what would a magnetic person do in this situation? Since you understand that your target audience isn't everybody, you would simply just, like, not care if they rejected you. You wouldn't stay friends with them. You would just focus on yourself. You would know within yourself that, like, you didn't even like them that much, so it's fine if they rejected you. And actually, a magnetic person wouldn't even shoot their shot towards someone they didn't like that much anyway. But for sake of the example, like, you get what I mean. If you're a magnetic person, you understand that, like, not everybody is going to like you, and that you just need to find your target audience. And you aren't going to waste your time with people who don't naturally like you, because you're comfortable within yourself, and you'd honestly rather be alone than with people who don't value you. You don't care that they don't like you, because within yourself, you know that you're trying your best and you're just being yourself. Alright, to end this video off, I'm gonna give a classical recommendation. It's called Love Dream by Lizst. I'll even link it in the description. The official name is Liebestraum number 3, but it's seriously one of my favorites. I'm learning it on the piano right now. It's so technical, it's so hard, but anyways, I wish you guys the best.